Alright, now we're in Maya. I have this chapel model, just the top part. That's the one I want to actually use CG to swap out and simulate some VFX on it. So I'm gonna actually go back to File and Import to import the FBX. So after the asset, and change the format to all files so I can look for that camera track to Maya and import. As you can see, everything is imported here, and I'm gonna grab this chapel. Actually, I need to maybe group all the scenes together and call this guy all the geometry together and call this guy chapel GRP. And I'm gonna move it to where that box is because that's where the chapel is. Okay. Now that's just a rough position. After that, I can delete this box now. Don't really need it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to panel, perspective, and choose that camera one. That's actually the camera being imported, as you can see. Those locators are those tracking points. We can use that as reference for where things are. But for now, I don't think I need them either. So delete those. I can delete those locators too, and that gives me just that camera one here. Okay. As you can see, it has all the animation tracked. It's actually over there now. Interesting movement. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the panel, perspective, and camera one, and let's take a look. Let's also turn on the film gate. Maybe not the grade. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and change some settings in the camera. First things first, I'm gonna go to the attribute editor and change the near clip plane to 1. So that is gonna eliminate the weird shading here. Let's also turn on the anti-aliasing and also maybe some ambient occlusion to see things better. And also go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. I'm gonna actually go import my asset. No, sorry, it should be in the movies. The stabilized result we have, open that and check on use image sequence. It's gonna allow me to see that animation again. And here it's actually blocking. If you go back to the perspective, this image plane is blocking the actual chapel far behind it. So I'm gonna go change the depth of this image plane to 100. So it's actually behind. Alright, I'm gonna go back to the camera one. As you can see now, I can see both. And then I'm gonna grab one of the geometry and press up to select the group and scale this guy up, rotate it in all different ways to try to match it better with the actual footage. Now sometimes it's really hard to see where things are with those highlighting, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the show selection highlighting, turn that off so that I can really see the model here. Okay, so what I want to do here is match my 3D model with the footage here. And the thing I'm looking here is this line should be parallel to this line. This line should be parallel to this line, or not parallel, but exactly connected to that line, and this line will connect to this line, and those 3 lines in the middle connect to the set of those 3 lines, so that I can have a perfect match. So let me just rotate it this way a little bit. Maybe down. I can press Control Space to make things bigger so it's easier to see. Don't press Control B though, that's gonna freeze the computer because it's trying to load that paint effect. So anyway, just try to match it nicely. You can also try to make this line parallel to this line if it's possible. Seems like I'm having too much perspective. I'm gonna maybe drag it downwards a little bit. Yeah, that should make it better. This line should be parallel with the other line. They're having too much perspective, so maybe I can make it bigger and drag it forward. Actually, go back to some of the frames, right? Control space. Make it bigger and drag it backwards. Actually, smaller and drag forward should eliminate some of the. Actually, farther away, right? Farther away should give me better or even a perspective. All right. Okay, this line will go connect to this line, so a little bit off. Maybe make it just a little bit bigger and rotate it. You want to spend some time here. Make sure that you got all the alignment properly. Otherwise, you'll be having trouble actually compose those together later on. Alright, now my model is not exactly precise, so some of the things may be a little off, but I'm okay with that. I can actually delete the top part of the actual footage and use that as the actual one. Maybe I can stretch it longer or shorter if I wanted to, but I'm just keep it the same size. Yeah, should be good. So position it in the proper location. Let's also scrub through the timeline. And see if it's offset a little bit here on other timelines. Just bring them back a little bit. Alright, cool. So now I'm gonna go back to perspective. As you can see, the chapel is tilted. Now the reason it's tilted is not because it's supposed to be tilted, it's because the camera track is actually, if you show the origin, the camera track is actually on the origin. Let me turn on the selection highlight again. So it's on the origin and it's looking downwards, as you can see. Let's tilt it down just a little bit. In reality though, it should be looking up. So because of that, I actually have to compensate and actually move the chapel back to straight and have the camera go down and look up. To do so, I'm gonna grab the camera one and Control G to group it. I'm gonna call this one camera offset, and bring that into the chapel GRP by middle mouse dragging it. Okay. Now grab the chapel GRP. I'm gonna zero out the translation and rotation. Maybe also the scale to get it back to the original size. Now you can see the camera is now looking up. The chapel is actually standing straight. Because the camera again is the children, right, of the chapel GRP, so that's why it's moving with it. The relative location doesn't really change. That's why I should get the same result. Okay. back to perspective. After this, I'm gonna grab the camera offset and then Control D to duplicate it and Shift P to unparent that. And then select the old camera, Control select the new camera, do rigging constraint, parent constraint. What that does is allow this camera 2 duplicate it to always follow the camera 1. And for camera 2, I'm gonna actually fix the scale by changing that back to 1. Houdini doesn't like the scaled camera, so I need a camera like this instead of the old one. They will still be on the same position as you can see when you play through the animation. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab this new camera I created and go edit key, bake simulation. That's gonna allow the actual constraint convert into a animation like that, and then I can then delete that parent constraint. Now this camera is actually a proper camera for Houdini. The old one are having some bad things, like it has a parent, that parent has values, right? So it's not quite reflecting how exactly this guy is moving. So afterwards I can actually delete the old camera now and name the new camera rendering camera. Anyway, so now I have the camera and the chapo. Okay, so let me grab both the group and the camera, do file, export selection, and I use the FBX as the format. And if you don't have that, you can go to the plugin manager right here and search for FBX and check on the FBX Maya. Okay, so now go file, export selection, and I'm gonna put that into asset again, camera track to Houdini, and then export selection. You know what, this time I'm actually going to simplify this a little bit. I'm going to actually combine those things I think are actually just the pieces that are supposed to be the same kind. So that's wood, and these are also wood. So I'm going to name this guy wood. That's good. The rooftop, the crosses, and those horns, I'm going to combine those guys together and call it metal. This wood arc is also wood, so combine these together, just call this guy wood. Metal, and those guys, let's see, I can, oh, that can be actually a metal too. So grab this guy and the metal, combine these together, call this metal. The rest of the structure are basically bricks and sculptures, stones. I'm gonna combine those together. I'm gonna call this maybe bricks. So now I have only 3 objects. It's easier to read this way. I'm gonna grab again the chapo and the camera, go file, export selection, camera track to Houdini, export selection, and yes. Alright, now we have the camera and the geometry exported out. Let me save this guy and call this camera solved. And I'm gonna stop this tutorial. In the next one, we're gonna bring everything to Houdini. Okay, see you next time.